Here we go. Here we go.
That
Can
was a
you guys
great
hear
session,
me?
ladies.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Hi, Christine. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you doing, Tiffany?
Good. You're inspiring me with the virtual background. This is my first time doing it
Yes, I
officially.
know. I saw that when you guys had it. I'm like, yes, I love this.
It's very much so your wheelhouse. So excited. Oh, I love this. Okay, cool. I'm really excited. I know you joined us last year. Excited to have you on again. I want to definitely just kick this off and talk a little bit about your role now at Lulus. I know that you've held many marketing, digital marketing, paid social roles at a variety of different companies in the past. And now this role is kind of encompassing a lot of the work that you've done in your past. So let us know a little bit more about that and how you're working through things this year.
Totally. Yeah. Well, first of all, just thank you guys so much for having me back. Really excited to be here again with you. So I joined Lulu's February of this year. Really exciting time just for the business and also for me to join the team. So they have me join as VP of Brand Marketing. And as you said, Tiffany, this is really leveraging a lot of the talents in my wheelhouse. So my background, it was really rooted in performance media. And so the first like half of my career was focused on performance, like with paid search, with with programmatic display, and then managing paid social, and then managing like all of that plus analytics, working on mobile app, and really just as I went through all of the performance side, what I always kind of wanted was really a brand partner that would work with me in terms of the demand generation and capture. I like to say it's like a game of catch, right? And so brand is the pitcher. They're winding up, they're generating that momentum and that demand. And then they need to pitch it over to performance marketing, and we're really the catcher. And so with that, I always felt like a lot of times on teams, brand might be pitching out to left field, and I'm like, I'm over here. It was really through my experience in working at Elf Beauty where I got to work on the Elf brand recharge. So going from, what you knew as Elf in 2017 to what they are today, really that bold repositioning, and then working across rebranding of Well People and building of Key Soul Care. That's really where I was cutting my teeth on brand and totally fell in love with it. So from that perspective, I was like, oh, wow, like being able to manage the full funnel and being able to create that sort of partnership between upper and mid funnel marketing down to lower funnel, that's where you can see incredible ROI. So there I was managing full funnel. And then here at Lulu's today, what I'm managing is, the upper and mid funnel. So now I have an incredible partner, our VP of growth, who is just a wizard when it comes to performance and growth marketing. And then we work together on really making sure that we are bringing a full funnel lens to the business and playing that tight game of catch. So specifically the channels I'm managing right now, it's from the upper funnel side, paid, earned, and owned. So all of the paid media that falls under that. And then on the earned side, working with influencers, PR, and then owned our editorial on our blog, and then also our social channels, of course.
I love that. I mean, you're definitely speaking my language, our language here at Influential. I know we mostly sit in influencers social space, but when it comes to working even with influencers, you can use them throughout the entire funnel, and it's really about, working with paid social team to just make sure we can be a little bit more predictive in a lot of our outreach while still being creative, I think, with content. Tell us a little bit about the creative process over at Lulu's right now and how how your team and the performance team are working together for that.
Totally. And I think, for the creative process, it really depends on where we're activating. So there are some areas where we've brought in partners to really reinforce our strength. And we also have an incredible in-house team who has been, working on the brand for years. I think what's beautiful about Lulu's is we have great retention and a great internal community built within the company. It's like I was blown away in joining the company, just knowing there have been some people who've been working on the brand for so many years and have really helped to evolve it. So we have that really, really good insight in-house. And then, we've also been working with some additional agencies, for side projects to really help us scale quickly. And then when it comes to like our process, so for the own social side, it's really about, hey, how can we continue to show our personality in the right platforms, right? So it's like always noticing like who is your audience you're speaking to in that platform, what is the language they're speaking, and then how do you mimic that, so that you can find that common ground. So the way you're going to hear us show up in our content within TikTok is very different than what you're going to see on Instagram, right? So from TikTok, this is a place where we are being a little bit more playful. We have content creators in-house that are coming up with great content, but also always leveraging trends. So we take a look at what's trending from a user behavior perspective and also what's trending in terms of music, knowing that audio is such an important part of that platform.
Yeah.
And then we leverage those together to come up with new content ideas as a team in our weekly meetings.
Love that. I just love in generally the fact that you have a really holistic approach to it, and to hear that retention is really good at the company is always really nice, considering the environment many businesses and organizations are in at this point. So really awesome to hear. I want to chat a little bit about, because when I think of Lulus, I think of it being a brand I was very much so invested in, years ago and even to this day, but it's evolved a bit. I feel like I went to Lulus for wedding inspired, I think dresses. I feel like the dress
Yeah.
inventory is like out of this world. Now you touch a variety of different, like, I want to say categories in the apparel, from an apparel lens. What are you seeing as far as like an opportunity now that people are diving headfirst into fashion again, even if they're going outside only for a little bit amount of time? What are some of those opportunities you're seeing, or maybe even challenges within the apparel category this year?
Totally. So I think there's a lot to unpack there. So yes, we have completely grown. So dresses is still our core, and that's something that we will continue to service. That's what we're known for, are these like beautiful dresses, whether it's casual, whether it's something that's more formal.
Yeah.
And then something that we expanded into right in our Q1 of this year was our wedding gown offering. So I think we were really known for having a great variety of the wedding guest dresses and then also bridesmaids dresses. And so, I always joke, it's like, the never, always a bridesmaid, never a bride. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
now, well, now she's the bride because
Yeah.
we have gowns. It was just an incredible opportunity for us, and something that we were, to be able to pull it off after going through COVID, I think was a huge win for the team. And something where, if you take a look at our site, we were able to bring that Lulu's value proposition of true quality in the products that we're selling, and then also for an incredible value. So almost all of our wedding dresses are under $300.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah, it's, I know, I'm like blown away every day at like what our team's able to accomplish there and driving that value. But in terms of just changes in the landscape, what we're seeing just from our Pinterest data, from our Google data, and our own internal data is there's this trend of comfort that people aren't willing to deviate from or to sacrifice. So it's like we're excited about style again. There's been a spike in people looking for dresses and going out clothing, especially like white dresses this year. It's just like this moment of optimism, but also like what's core to that is comfort. We don't want to have to choose between the two anymore, right? And I think that's something that's really cool that came out of COVID is, hey, like why not have both? And I always feel like that when it comes to shoes too. I'm like, why do I have to sacrifice, looks for comfort? It should be both. So consumers are expecting more, and we're here for it.
Oh, I love that. I mean, again, speaking my language, one, I shop online exclusively. Two,
Yes.
if I can already know that one, the quality is going to be there and then I can be comfortable. I mean, if you're asking if I'm wearing sweat shorts right now, I am. Like,
Yoga pants, guilty.
yeah. Yeah. 100%. 100%. I love that. What are some other, because I know research has had to been a really awesome or interesting, I want to say, moment for you guys, just understanding what consumers are really into, especially on social. I'm sure you're hearing a lot of things from your audiences there. What are some insightful findings that you've seen from your audience besides definitely, owning comfort and style? What else are you seeing from an audience perspective that's helped you guys in planning out the rest of the year?
Totally. So, we're big on internal insights. And I think that's also like the beauty of working at a place where everything is e-commerce. So, in a previous life, working at places that were omni, fantastic to have that store presence, but also, there was always the loophole of the data. And so it's like here, it's truly a closed loop solution. So we do have so much consumer insight data available to us from what we get from our social community, just through polling, also through what we get from our customer service team, who's been really incredible about bringing our brand personality through. Any sort of exit survey data, our site data, and then of course regular brand surveys that we do. So we have been taking a look at this, and it's been incredible just to see where her mindset is in terms of what she's focusing on and what she loves about Lulus. So we just recently did a study reconfirming that, hey, for her it's really about the quality, and so I think that's something for us that we took away as an insight, where how can we better relay that message to her, and how can we show that in the way that she's shopping online. As you said, it's something, we're doing so much shopping online. How do you make sure that that selling point is there when she can't touch the product herself? So right now we're exploring, like, how do we bring that to life for her? How do we convey that? Is it through experiences or a virtual try on? Is it through different shots that we're taking of the product? Is it through product movement? Right. And then where are the right places to show up with that type of content for her when she's ready for it? I think some other data that's really interesting is just, reconfirming, like, who is our customer, and how do we make sure, knowing that we are a brand that prides ourselves on bringing, you know, bringing this incredible value, but that, at prices within reach. That's something that we have to check ourselves on regularly. It's like, in reach to who, because it's all relative. So just understanding, from our brand data, we were able to get her median income, and kind of check ourselves in that
Yeah.
regard. Social listening is a huge piece as well. So like I said, we have both our community management team who's regularly relaying, this is what she's concerned about, or this is the percentage of responses we got back in terms of, wanting to see, more diversity. As we've posted that, we've gotten a lot of really positive feedback. And as we are posting more real people, and that's really where influencers come in, is how do we show that diversity of the brand and that richness of the brand through them, and show our audience more of what she wants to see, and it's people she can relate to.
Yeah, I love that you gave an answer that is not just as far as like who your target is. It's not just, female 18 to
Mhm.
35 or something like that, living in a metropolitan area. There's really so many facets. I mean, one, I definitely fit within that demo that you guys are looking to reach.
Yeah, yeah.
Even for me, I love online shopping, but I also want to know that what I'm getting online is I want to make a bet that what I'm getting online is actually going to be what I end up receiving, what I see
Right.
online, what I can feel and touch. I also like sports, but I can also wear, a dress very, very occasionally. So it's just really interesting that you guys are thinking about her as not just this kind of siloed woman, but she has many layers to her. And I'm sure that you guys
Totally.
are continuing to get those sort of insights from them.
And I think that's something that we've also leaned into in social, right? So like a beautiful campaign example of this is um, I've seen different like short form videos and social where it's like, I'm this, but I'm also that.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really encapsulates the woman of today. We are so many things and we are so dynamic. And I think that's what's great about Lulus is because like now you have this room to play around with that version of self-expression, right? In so many different facets. And at the prices, you still have the room in your wallet too.
Exactly. I love that. And I mean, yeah, you guys have a little bit of both. It's definitely super affordable. And then there's, if you want to, splurge a bit, you
Yeah,
guys do have opportunities for that too,
exactly.
which again is great. Let's talk a little bit about social platforms. I know that you guys have explored any and all, I want to say to this date over the years. Are there any that you use for specific cases? Maybe product launches like always happen on this, anything more lower funnel happens on these platforms. What does your platform strategy look like for social?
Sure. And so like I would say like we don't do everything so cut and dry like that. And I think a lot of marketers out there relate to that. It's within these platforms, there are so many different ad formats today and even organic options that it's really about creating this conversation and like what is the right way to start the conversation? What's the right way to continue that conversation to re-engage? So for us, typically what we do is we take a look at, okay, if this is a big marketing initiative, how do we tell a full funnel story and how do we tell that 360? And so we really get together with our cross-functional partners and decide what's the right way to bring this to life in your own channels. And it's okay in some of those platforms and in some of those channels, it may not make sense for that particular activation, and that's okay. But it's like, let's have that conversation and all align on that up front. So typically what I'm going to look for is, who is the audience we're trying to reach first and foremost? Where is that audience? What is the message that we're trying to drive? Okay, how are they speaking in that particular platform? And how do we really make it native to the platform? So that, the same campaign might show up in a different way in each of the platforms, right? So I might have a quick funny video or like sort of this relatable moment in TikTok where you're speaking to the camera. Maybe it's like a confession style and it's like, like fashion confession. Even when my life's a mess, like as long as my like bra and underwear are matching, like I feel like I have my life together. Yeah, things like that. Whereas that same campaign might be a little bit more aspirational and polished for something like Instagram, right? And we might have a longer form video on YouTube. So that's sort of how we're thinking about it is again, right message, right time, right audience. And then making sure that we have a solid retargeting strategy so that that waterfalls all the way through.
Yeah, love that. Again, holistic approach. And I'm hearing authenticity is key. And I'm also hearing just to make sure that at the end of the day, there's some sort of like storytelling component or a through line to what you're doing across all platforms. What about when it comes to some of the more innovative features that platforms are releasing recently? I know it's like kind of early, but TikTok live shopping and stuff, experiences like that. I know Instagram has a shopping function on there as well. Have you leaned into those? And is that sort of like maybe something you do on a regular basis or something that's more geared toward holiday and, big shopping events?
Totally. So I would say like right now, definitely we are very active in Instagram. But in terms of like the live shopping, that's not something that we've tapped into yet. It's definitely something that's on our radar. It's something where we're looking into, hey, where has this been a success, right? So if we look in China, that has been live shopping has been a tremendous success. So we know that like the trend is already starting. For us, it's about how do we make sure that we execute with excellence and make sure that the consumer experience is going to be right for her. So for us, I think it's taking a lens of, is this the right opportunity for her? And is this how she wants to engage? And then also, can we deliver on the experience? And so that's really what we're evaluating right now to make sure that we can still bring our quality experience to her through that live shopping.
Oh, I love that. And I'm like on the edge of my seat. I'll ask bit if you can release anything that we can expect come holiday, but we'll let you kind of decide if you'd like to.
Yeah, I've got mum's the word on that, but I would say, I'm really excited just about what we have in store for everyone, not only for, holiday second half of this year, but also looking into next year. I think with COVID, it really helped us all prioritize what we need to do for our consumer and also how we need to show up. Right. We've had with COVID, so many people were sort of brought into the digital world, whether they wanted to or not. I think with, I saw some article called it super digitization, where it was citing that COVID actually accelerated digital by 2 years. So brands that typically weren't going to be in this space or showing up that heavily in this space are now doubling down. They're accelerated. So the space is crowded now more than ever. And for us, it's about, okay, how do we break out from that sea of sameness and really make sure that the value we bring her is clearly communicated and we are at her service. So that's why it's an exciting time for us. We're chatting with our teams, we're brainstorming, we're building. So I think you're gonna just expect to hear a lot more from us in the future.
Hey, sounds good. We'll keep our eyes and ears peeled, I think, when it comes to that. Tell us a little bit. I'm curious to know, you kind of brought it up a little bit. I'm curious to know, have you guys touched on, or are you interested in any other brands, or keeping tabs on any other brands across other verticals in this space, and not leaning on them, but maybe looking to them and understanding a little bit more about their approach to whether it's social or digital? Have you explored co-branded opportunities? I know that sometimes it ends up being a co-branded opportunity with like bigger celebrities or influencers in a way, but have you guys looked at that at all?
Definitely. So I think like co-branding is something that a lot of brands are smartly looking at right now, and ourselves included. But again, it's how do we make sure that it's really right and ownable for our brand, and also going to have a 1 + 1 = 3 scenario where we're really going to create something that's greater than the sum of our parts. For co-branding, I would say like what we do is we like to partner with brands that again have that right audience overlap, that also support the same purpose pillars. It has to be a good fit from like that perspective. I think it's just, if it's not, consumers will sniff it out. They'll see it's inauthentic and they'll scratch their heads like, what are they trying to do? Like they're just doing it for the views, right? Just doing it for the headlines. So this is something where we're really trying to make sure that we are solid in before we go, head first. I will say we start to test things out. So very much like a test and learn approach at Lulus. Performance marketing is in our DNA. So with that, we will a lot of times test things out with previous activations and social, just to gauge engagement. For example, right now we have a giveaway going on with Maybelline. So this is an opportunity for Maybelline and Lulus to come together, both brands that have had a lot of just brand loyalty, brand love. We're about supporting like young women, and also about offering, again, that quality product at an incredible value. So that's something where we are partnering together on the social amplification of that, amplification across our own channels. So very excited to see how that's doing. And it'll be concluding at the end of this week.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so it's not too late for us all to sign up.
Not too late. Sign up, win $500 Visa gift card, $500 to Lulu shopping spree, and a Maybelline prize pack.
Oh my gosh, love that. Audience out there, go ahead and do that. If anyone has any questions, by the way, out there, feel free to jump in. I see a couple flying in as we speak. Awesome. And just to think about, okay, so pivoting a little bit, I want to hear from you about what you think success looks like for your teams this year, because I'm hearing the common thing that has made you guys successful thus far. Again, thinking about all pieces of the consumer journey, making sure you're not making rash decisions, but leaning into trends. Tell us a little bit about what is success this year, knowing, I guess, year one post-COVID PC. What does it look like? you at Lulus?
I would say this year is really about us scaling for success, right? So we had to, I think pretty much everyone in our industry with COVID had to abruptly scale down their businesses with demand. And now that demand is surging, and we have all of this pent up demand, right? Which has been extremely challenging for any business to forecast for. Now we have this pent up demand, this excitement. So it's about how do we scale with that, and how do we now speak to a broader audience. So we've always had our core, and they have been extremely loyal, right? When we have someone who's been indoctrinated into the Lulus family, they stay with us for years. So that's pretty exciting. If you're taking a look at our age demographic that we span, it's quite large. And so with that, we have that core base, but again, COVID just bringing so many more people and shoppers online. Now we are reaching people who we had never talked to before and who may have never considered Lulus. So it's really diving into who are they, what makes them different, and then how do we retain them and continue to grow that base. So success for us just looks like inviting more to the party. So that's why we've been really building up our brand presence this year and building up our teams so that we can scale with consumer demand and deliver on the experience she expects from us. And I would think also from a team perspective, that's something where I look at success as well, right? It's not just how successful is the business, but how successful is my team? So it's really about making sure that the team is integrated, working in lockstep, and feels like they have clear purpose and drive.
I love that. You're actually leaning right into a question that's rolling in on the way your teams are structured and what your hiring process has been like. Are you in office? And what are you looking for in candidates across? I think it's specific to marketing, but maybe you can all of it.
Totally. So we've adjusted. So we've adjusted in terms of whether we're in office or not. But we do have our office in Chico. We also have a merchandising office in LA. I myself am remote, so I am working out of Oakland, but then visiting our office in Chico once a month. And we really, what I love is that we really listen to our employees. So doing surveys and polls about how comfortable do people feel about returning, what would the preference be, and then leadership getting together and figuring out, okay, how do we support this? How do we make sure that all safety measures have been, accounted for, and that we have really the right checks and protocols? And we even have someone who is completely dedicated in his whole role to health and safety. So I think like that's been huge for us, and just coming up with a system that does allow for, for a hybrid opportunity. And more just remote talent like me and a few others that have recently joined the team. What our process is you can find all open and available opportunities on our site if you go down to Lulu's careers. So at the bottom of the page, and we post everything there. I would say do check, because there is, like I said, there is a growing demand right now in our category, and we are trying to scale with that.
Nice. I love that. Check out Lulu's, you guys. Love also evangelizing remote work too, because I mean, I think over the past 12 months, it's been, or I guess 18 months really, it's been kind of polarized one way or another. And now it's kind of like there is a world where flexibility and hybrid opportunities, what are the flex time, it is possible and feasible. So that's awesome to hear.
Totally. And I think it's just also, that's a way that brands can offer employees balance. Is something that we've all been chasing, and something that we've all had to really reflect on during COVID.
Awesome. I want to ask from a personal standpoint, how do you keep up with things related to your role and your work? Are there any sort of like podcasts or books that you're reading that keep you up to date in the industry? In the same breath, is there any sort of like personal like podcasts or things that are definitely not related to work that keep you balanced?
Definitely. Oh my gosh. I have a long list of podcasts and reading, but I would say like, for me, it's also just chatting with people like yourself, right? So for example, it's at dinner, with a business colleague and friend that I've had over the years. And just in us talking together. She sent me like new podcasts last night. I'm like, great, this is amazing. I think it's also following a lot of like things on Clubhouse. So I think it's probably died down a little bit from the initial response it got during COVID when we were all in lock-in. But just the conversations that you can have there with other marketers like yourself and get direct feedback, direct input is so valuable, right? That's just like free networking available to anyone. And that's really where I've also been able to find out, oh, hey, great, that tool actually worked for someone. And people are just so willing to share information. I feel like it's a very welcoming community. So I think in terms of like publications, I follow all of the, marketing land, think with Google. We stay really close in contact with our publisher platforms on what's happening. And I think my advice is push your partners, right? So I usually like send them emails of like, hey, absolutely, like love, want to work with you on any first opportunities, any betas, like push them. Or, hey, can we give you feedback on this product? I think we have some ideas on how we can make it better, just so that you are top of mind and will be considered as those opportunities arise.
Oh, I love that. I love that. It's so funny you mentioned podcasts, because I know people don't necessarily commute anymore, which is where your podcast experience might have happened. For me,
Yes.
it forces me to like take myself for a walk. Like I need to.
That is good. I actually I'm like, I should do more of that. I have an exercise bike that actually like syncs up with my desk here.
Oh.
Sometimes that people see me on meetings like this, I'm actually biking. They just think I'm rocking. I'm biking.
How good. Oh my, you're like the woman in the office on like your favorite like millennial sitcom right now. She's just like on your bike in your tech office. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about innovation. So besides your seating arrangement, your desk right now, which is extremely innovative, tell us a bit about how you guys are looking at innovation within this category, specifically at Lulus.
Totally. So I think for us, again, it's what can we leverage in our partnerships that we already have existing. So let's look for partnerships where we can truly force multiply. And when I think about that, it's the technology that a lot of these platforms are building in advance, like AR and VR, is a huge opportunity for us, because that's something where we get the opportunity to test that without necessarily having to build that or buy that in-house. So always looking for that. I think that with augmented reality, you saw that a lot in beauty. I know I did firsthand in virtual try-on, and we saw tremendous success with the amount of people who were trying on the product, and then the intent that was driving later on in the funnel. And so I think that's something that we're really excited about, is how will we bring that to life in fashion, right? Beauty was a natural fit, but I think that fashion is also a strong contender.
I love that.
But the desk is it's a regular standing desk that goes up and down, but the bike itself is through FlexiSport.
FlexiSport. Let's see if we can spell that out. Yeah. FlexiSport. Love that. You mentioned, oh my gosh, so try on. So as I mentioned, being personally huge e-com purchaser, that's literally, I don't really go to malls too much. And I've just now, I feel like honed in on what my size is, what fabric to look for and all of that. But the virtual try on, I feel like that's next level. So yeah. I've done, I think there's a couple of makeup brands who have done it with the lips. I know there's an eyewear company that does it with that. If I can try on my whole outfit.
Exactly. So that's what we're pushing partners, to create right now, is how do we create that for fashion? So, when I was at e.l.f., this was something that we did across our own mobile app. We also were able to do that across, Instagram, across Snapchat. And then we had a whole case study with YouTube, where it was the first time you were actually able to do it in an ad, which was really cool. So it's like you're watching a YouTube ad, and she invites you to like try it on with her, and you interact with the ad and can actually try on the same thing that your model, who is actually an influencer because it was locked down, was trying on at home. So really cool. And that's what we want to just push the boundaries on.
Oh, I love that. I love to hear it. To have a combination of, being a brand that's not necessarily like you've been around for quite a bit, and to still be able to lean in into really cool and innovative things, listening to what's trending, but then also what is the future of consumers' experience when it comes to shopping. Super important. Love that you guys are really hitting kind of every bucket in that way. A little bit more, I guess you can say personal or professional again. I want to know about what you're looking forward to. For me, it's definitely travel. I mean, I have about 17 weddings this year. As I mentioned, I'm on Lulus every day.
I mean, that's actually like the joke that we are making internally is like, now that you have 100 weddings on your calendar for the rest of the year, what are
Exactly.
you going to wear? We got you.
Literally, that's a post. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I am excited about so many things. I think it's really about like personally live music. I think that's like it's been what's missing in my life. I love going to concerts and shows. And I think that there's just like an energy that you can't recreate anywhere else. So that's my personal thing I'm looking forward to. And I think also just celebrating the moments with people that can be a shared experience, right? These little moments that we took for granted. And then what I'm looking forward to at Lulu's, again, I think it's so many exciting things. It's really about reinvigorating our team. It's about just strengthening our brand positioning and inviting more people to our party. So it's for us, we're increasing our presence, and that's how we're inviting people to the party is just let's show up wherever she's showing up. And so I'm excited to see her reaction to that and to get the feedback and continue iterating with the team. I think there's also like my last exciting thing I think would be something that people think that is actually like a challenge or a struggle. So iOS 14, right? Completely just kicked us as marketers, right? Kicked us right in the gut. And we got so used to this world of precision targeting and precision bidding. And it was totally a high. I know that like I got a high from back in the day and managing campaigns, hands on keyboard and being able to see that when you make this, this adjustment over here, you can come in the next day and see your ROAS uptick. So, we were really hooked on the sauce. But with iOS 14, the one thing I am really excited about is it puts more of an emphasis on, and more of an onus on the brands to make a connection with their consumer, to drive value in the creative that they're driving. So whereas before we were optimizing with our bids and our targeting and our budget, our reach and frequency, which is still a huge part of it, now we're forced to use creative as the main optimization lever, which I actually love because that's the thing that gets in front of her. That's the thing that they have eyeballs on. So that's the thing where we have to really reinvest in our brand, reinvest in our messaging, and make sure that we're pressure testing that ahead of time. So I think it's a huge opportunity to bring more art into the art and science combination and bring a stronger connection. We're really not going to be able to survive if we don't continue to drive a value for the consumer and enhance that experience rather than disrupt. So I think it's a really cool thing that that's going to continue to drive trends in this industry.
I love that. I know we were speaking previously, and I was like, you're going to give said major social platform a run for its own money in creating things, internally on the brand side, or at least putting processes in place that allow you to do your own sort of testing and optimizing and understanding like what works for you instead of letting sort of a platform dictate that for you. So how much fun, like, I can imagine, I mean, I'm envisioning what some of those like war rooms or brainstorm rooms look like. It sounds like a really awesome experience.
Totally. It's a very exciting time for us.
Very cool. Well, I know we might have another guest here, but let me see if I can pull up any of these additional questions. Let's see. Someone's wanting to know, is this the career role that you've always wanted? Did you study marketing in school?
I studied psychology, and BusyCon. So it's like I had more of that like financial accounting at first and then psychology, but I think it is the kind of perfect combination for marketing. I would say that I always wanted to be in marketing. Initially, when I got into the industry, there weren't a lot of marketing jobs available. The economy had crashed. So it was 2007. So I had to get in where I could fit in. And that's actually where I ended up getting into risk management for a real estate investment trust. So worked on that, worked for an incredible boss, Mary Jane O'Keefe, who truly just continued to foster growth and curiosity in me while it was risk management, and that was all litigation management and insurance placement. She continued to also foster this like love of just literature and poetry with me. And then, taught me skills of, hey, how do you risk forecast? And then, what you can't, you take that and you go, okay, what can I make sure that of this risk I'm supporting with a process that will minimize the risk. And for the rest of it, I'm going to buy insurance coverage against that and I'm going to negotiate that. Well, I was able to parlay that into forecasting for marketing and then also negotiating for all of the placements that we do in marketing. So I think like very different industries, but really transferable skills and a really fantastic mentor, which she was the one who told me, she's like, girl, you wanted to be in marketing. Like you gotta get out of this right now because like clock is ticking. So she really convinced me to, she's like, I love you, but you gotta leave. Take me out of the nest.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Having people around you to tell you what you have already probably told them or mentioned
Yes,
out loud, giving
exactly.
you the push and the okay, that it's fine. But then also I think it's a huge relief for a lot of people in the audience to know that just because you're in one position at one point in your life doesn't mean you're stuck there forever. There's a lot to us, I think, as individuals. And if you find sort of those things that are transferable skills, hard or soft skills, I think that
Absolutely.
a really awesome career experience for yourself. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Let's see. Let me see. FlexiSport. Any other innovative at-home office equipment or recommendations you have? Notepads, whiteboards. There's a lot of people asking how you're going about your day.
Yes. So I definitely am a big believer in just making sure that your office environment is fun. So I also have a gaming chair for when I'm not standing or biking. I've got my gaming chair, which I'm like, yeah, I want to make sure that I have like a really supportive ergonomic chair from when I'm ready to sit for things like this. And then also, Mike, I'm not sure if you can see if it's going to